Yeah, we're gonna go live and just roast Mike.
It's live, yes.
Yeah, all right, we're
live. Hi, America.
Let me double check on the actual YouTube stream.
Oh, let me turn this
make
way.
sure.
Closer.
Oh, yeah, there we go. Yeah, and I can hear me on YouTube, so it might just be a problem on your end on the mic. Speaking of mics, Michael McAdam of Two Gogs.
Okay, everything's falling. We're good. We're doing good tonight. Oh yeah, everything's falling. Let go.
We're bringing a strange energy right from the fucking jump there, Jeff. Right from the jump, we're bringing strange energy. Michael McAdam, Mike McAdam of Two Gargs, turned on his camera, then makes us late. Leaves, doesn't think he took a nap, might have taken a shit. I don't know. All right, but we're doing an all the way live stream.
This is not fun without him. Well, it is fun.
Okay. No, we're just gonna roast him
all you want.
We're just gonna roast him. Mike, head like a thumb, foot like a big toe, wrist like an ankle.
I broke my stand.
Let me check.
It always falls apart once in a while.
But yeah, we're gonna have
these easels always fall apart. I had them fall apart at the Comic-Con.
Unless he blows me off again, I'm gonna text Steve. Artistic Discipline on Twitter. Steve Musgrave, one of my favorite artists, one of my closest artist friends. One of my favorite miserable bastards. But I got to make sure he doesn't blow us off, because otherwise we're going to be roasting him too. We're going to have Michael McAdam, who has disappeared. Send him.
Oops.
And Michael McAdam of Two Gargs, a client that I've worked with a lot on his Thunder property, on some of his other properties that we're going to be running with, Lil Wings. Done a couple covers for him. We've got Jeffrey Anthony Campos,
somewhere in the background,
working on with a book of his, tentatively titled Candlejack. We're working out, making sure that we've got everything covered in terms of our bases, legal.
20 years to write it.
Yeah. But we have alternate titles, right? And he's working on that with Mike Rogers, 60 REECE on Twitter, and I sent him a message. I don't know if he's going to come on tonight, though.
He said he'd come on, but he might be a little late when he texted me. Yeah. He might be a little late, but not too late. There we go.
How come that sent to Hannah as well?
Fixed you. All right.
I hope he doesn't think that I saw that he liked it, that Steve liked it on Twitter. So I sent him. Oh, he might have went into the other one. Let me give him the current StreamYard invite, copy to clipboard. Okay.
That's a good point. It might be a software issue with StreamYard.
Yeah, that was December 12th. That was last week. So he might have clicked that one and been like, what the hell? Anyway, we're a big mess today, if you can't tell.
We are.
A bridled mess. We're trying to get in I see Mike, head like a thumb, foot like a big toe, wrist like a neck.
The weather today in Haybrook is going to be cloudy with some showers. Over here in Santa Clara, it's just south of Haybrook. It's going to be snowstorm. And maybe a squall or two up in Numbers, but you can't see it because it's all white up there anyway.
Oh, I sent the.
Over here in Anathis, I'm trying to hide it.
Okay.
No, I sent that.
Go ahead. I didn't let you talk.
No, you're all right. I'm making sure that Mike got sent the.
Get in there. Okay.
No, the other Mike Rogers.
I don't know where he is.
Where did I send that
cup
to?
Of coffee, I know that.
If I didn't.
I'm actually energized today for some reason. Usually not my boring self from work. Oh my God, GDT again.
But yeah, maybe I forgot to. Well, no, because he knows that I'm Eastern, so it wouldn't be that.
It's just us talking now.
We got one person watching this rambling mess of incoherent assholes who are all just trying to do something.
The guy without teeth is funny. I know.
Yeah.
If that's Steve watching, if that's the one viewer we have right now,
Of
Steve,
course, yeah.
Check Facebook, our group chat, or check Twitter in your messages for the link to the StreamYard. I've got my screen shared, everything. Yeah, I've done everything I can. Steve can't blow me off.
Yeah.
All right, let's see. All right, save that. This is seen by Michael. Where you at, Steve? We need you. We've got a missing Mike. We've got a negligent Steve.
I can't get up. I had 2 beers.
We've got a loosey-goosey Jeffy.
I can't get off the John.
All right, Jeff, how's things been going for you? Can you hear me? Yeah, Jeff.
I can hear you.
Yeah, how's things going for you? I was asking you.
Oh, me. Oh, hi. Great. I don't know. I just had a great day, and even though it's kind of hectic at work, that's about it. And you got some. You're probably working on the drawings and stuff for the cover and the back cover. I talked to Mike the other night, and he's really punching away at volume 1 right now.
Yeah, I'm going to be working on some more of the designs on the stream. I'm going to tighten up the cardinal on the stream. I'm just trying to finish this up because I got to transfer it to board for a commission. Yeah. There is Mike. Mike. Hallelujah. Praise the Lord. Praise Jesus. We have been roasting you, Mike, this entire time. We've been roasting you. We've been roasting you.
Yeah.
For disappearing on us. We're still trying to get Steve in.
I don't know you, but you're gonna know me.
Seen the post.
And I've been told many times.
Michael Gadd of 2 Gargs. Tell us about yourself, Mike. Tell us about
Okay.
My name is Michael McAdam. I'm a Canadian indie comics creator. 2 Gargoyles Comics is the name of my company, which is a fancy way of saying me and all the artists that I hire. I have about 6 titles under my belt, about 12 to 15 individual issues, and I'm hoping to bring a lot more to the table in 2020.
Cool. Where can people find you on social media?
I'm at 2 Gargs, TWOGARGS, on Twitter, on Instagram, and on Facebook, 2 Gargoyles Comics, or you can even type in 2 Gargs and find me there.
We've been mocking you this entire time for having your camera on, but then because Jeff was having a hard time hearing me, and I was like, we've got to wait till Mike gets on so I can see if it's on his end or on my end. But then I started the stream anyway, and I could hear it through YouTube. But I was sitting here going, Mike McAdam, head like a thumb, foot like a big toe, wrist like an ankle.
Here he is with 2 gargles.
Senselessness, absolute senselessness.
I approve of such a thing.
That's good.
Cool. All right, I'm gonna do a little bit of drawing.
2 Gargoyles Comics. I like that.
See if I can get Steve on. I know he's seen the Twitter post.
I don't see him anywhere. I don't know.
My image of Steve right now is the white rabbit from Alice in Wonderland, like always running, always late, always like never here.
Actually, that's a good. He does dress like that. He always wears that little cap. Like he could get away with a white rabbit cosplay, but like a human, like an anthro white rabbit.
Yeah.
You know. But he's always very nervous, always very worried, always very concerned. So that would be an apt metaphor for Steve. But he's one of my favorite miserable bastards, and I'm hoping that we actually get him on tonight. Okay. Now, we've been working on a comic in terms of shorts, which I'm about to get ready to do the last page. I still have to do one other thing before I do that, that we both know about. But do you want to talk about some of your properties? I know that you just recently did a Thunder Kickstarter, successfully funded it.
Cool.
My very first.
Saw that.
First successful Kickstarter, actually. I have a horror comic that I've tried twice to kickstart, and each time was a learning experience, so a bit of a step up. And then when I finally kickstarted Thunder, I sort of had figured out a couple of things. Most likely, it was aim low. So For this Kickstarter for Thunder, I just wanted to pay for the printing, not the art or anything else, just the printing, and that I was quite successful in. So that has garnered me a bit of an audience now, people that were in the Kickstarter and whatnot. And I'm hoping that when I kickstart my next comic in February, that I'll be able to step up with that audience and hopefully add more there.
Do you want to talk any about the shorts that we've been working on? I know I posted up a little bit of previews on like Instagram.
Yeah.
The Little Wings project.
Yeah. So, of course, my comic company is Two Gargoyles Comics, and I actually have a comic that has two literal gargoyles as the stars, Twilight Detective Agency. But one of the things that I always regret is every time somebody comes to my table at a convention, young children they love the colors of the covers. They're very drawn to my stuff, but none of my stuff is pitched for families or for children. So I got the idea from, the little Archie comics from way back in the day. Just kid shenanigans, right? But using my characters as kids. And I called it the Little Wings Play School. And so it's going to be little vignettes, just like the little Archie digests were.
Right.
Fun little adventures aimed at kids, basically.
That's nice.
Yeah, and I've done I'll be working on page 4 of would it be the second story, because the first one was kind of a one-page shot, and you said you're going to be releasing those, just kind of releasing them as they get done.
Yeah.
I was kind of curious if you were interested in having other artists maybe do shorts, because I know Steve would be interested in something like that.
That would be great.
I think he'd been, especially since I know that I'm going to be more busy with some other projects, both with you and other clients, like in other capacities, you know what I mean, as you understand. He wants to kind of get back into art, and for him, like, we did it once before where he lost his job and we just jumped headlong in, and it did not end well. But I don't think I was in the place to really do that, and I'm fast and loose with it. Like, a little bit about my history, and I gamble it all on the pretty pictures. But now that I'm kind of in a place where I'm more stable financially, a little more stable, mentally, a little more stable artistically, a little less fear of the blank page. I would like to start maybe getting him doing some work that, if I am in the position to turn something down, that he's a guy that I, think would really suit that style for Little Wings.
And this says a lot about indie comics right now, like what's happening right now. Networking, like person A isn't available, but they know person B, and you might never have met person B, but then you get turned on to their work through that other person. So it really does feed into itself, right? It feeds, we all feed each other in that way. And I'm excited by the idea, because I think an anthology approach would absolutely work with Little Wings.
Yeah, and I think it'd be interesting to have maybe a few different artists take on things, because because we did the original designs for this like 3 years ago.
Oh yeah.
You didn't know really what you wanted to do with it, but you were like, I kind of want to do this. And we had talked. I talked to you about another one of your properties, about the idea of doing a kids book, and you're like, well, I don't know if taking it from that angle would work. But then you came up with the idea of doing it in kind of the little Archie style, of doing it in a way that took all these different properties and put them into one basket. And I think it's really interesting. I think it's a really dynamic array of characters, and I think they all somehow strangely fit into this, school, preschool, elementary school type of setting. But we already have, the solid design work done in terms of, something for people to work from a reference point. And I think I would love to see like Steve's take on things. I would love to see other artists take on things, and again, just given the fact that I'm going to be working with Jeff in the new year, I'm going to be trying to launch Thunder Chickens in the new year, and doing other projects with you, that to open that up for some other artists, I think would suit the material, suit the format that you're going for. And it would also give some interesting dynamics. We have the legend, Steve Musgrave Artistic Discipline on Twitter, one of my favorite cartoonists, one of my favorite miserable bastards, one of my favorite human beings, of whom I like human beings. Steve, tell us about yourself. Can you hear?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Steve, we were just talking about how we failed at making a business 3 years ago. And of course, since I gamble on the pretty pictures and myself, and neither of us were in the position to do that, that I basically ruined your life for a few months.
Oh, thank you.
Well, yeah, but if you hadn't done it, I would have. So,
so yeah, I just given you a scapegoat to play off of. You know what I mean? Like, but we were talking about how you were interested in maybe getting back into art, and I was talking to Mike about the Little Wings project that me and him have worked on. That we did the design work 3 years ago. We're got 4 pages on the short stories, and that's something I think would be interesting to see you take on. One of the shorts would be like 2, 3, 4 pages long. That would sort of give a how do you say? Something that I think would be a very manageable project for you, that instead of like doing what we did before and just jumping headlong into the fucking void. And I, I love your work, and I know before we were kind of working together, and I don't think that suited us as much as I would love to see you really flexing your own style on things.
There we go.
So yeah, I'm going to tweet out that we're live and that we have the lovely, the legend, the intimidable Steve Musgrave. What does intimidable mean? Did I just make that word?
It means able to be intimidated.
Yeah,
I think
he's not necessarily wrong.
The indomitable.
Oh, nice.
The infinitesimal. On the grand scale of consciousness and the universe and everything. All right, retweet with comments. We're live and we have everybody.
Everybody. Well, nearly everybody.
I had some girls getting drunk in my apartment. I didn't touch a drop, Steve. They're all sexy as fuck, but one of them is my little sexy as fuck. But I didn't touch a drop. I even made them take the bottle home whenever they almost forgot it. Because I thought this was going to be a loud fucking girl party behind me, but thankfully they decided to head out. She needed to take care of her cats, and I just wanted to let you know that's willpower, man.
Yeah.
I think I'm healed. I think I'm saved. I think I don't need to do. I don't even need to worry. I could just drink whenever I want, right? No, because one of the deals that I said to her was, don't ever let me drink around you. I don't care what the fucking excuse is. Steve, what are you doing leaving us already? God damn it. Steve, we have had problems with people walking around in the background of our streams without actually being on camera.
I don't know who you're talking about.
Well, you can do it. I can do it. No.
Foot like a big toe. Wrist like an ankle. All right. Enough with the callback jokes. So, I would love to get. I would love to be able to broaden what we're doing with Little Wings in a way that Steve could. I think he could do something really interesting on it. And I think that it would be a good thing, because I know in my work with you, you're one of the most easy to satisfy clients that I have. And that's not just because I'm so good; it's because you're so Canadian.
I feel like you're calling me a whore. I'm not.
No, I would not dare. I would not dare say.
No, I was saying this to Jeffrey today, actually. Bye, Steve. I was saying this to Jeffrey today that one of the things that's great about working with you, Bill, is the instinct you have to understand where I'm coming from. Like I'm not an artist, so I don't write visually. I write in how it should feel. And you take that ball and you run with it, and you're slam dunking it every time.
You're happy with it every time. I wouldn't say it's a slam dunk every time. I think I do pretty good. I'm happy with my work. I don't really fear the blank page anymore.
That's good.
This is kind of a simple commission that I'm doing for a friend. of one of his nephews, and I'm totally just tracing the photo, but I mean I'm just basically using kind of my ink, my knowledge of inking, because I'm just at a point where to keep prices relatively low. I think I quoted him like 125 for this, and I'm going to put some color in it. But to keep prices relatively low, it doesn't. I could sit there and I could draw everything out freehand, but why not just save some time, get things a little bit more exact? But I don't really have to worry about the likeness on this one. Jeff's got a second. Oh, is that your screen share, Jeff?
Oh, sorry, no.
Yeah. No, I just wanted because I thought it was Steve.
Too many things here. Wait a minute.
I don't know where the hell. I don't know where the hell Steve went. I'm gonna.
Sorry about that. I was checking something. I didn't mean to interrupt. Go ahead. Continue.
No. I just thought it was Steve for a second because I said, he just. There we go.
There we go. I think I'm okay.
He's back.
Hey. And I live in this high-end town where the internet sucks out loud.
Yeah, you live in the city of dried apple dolls now, Steve. How's that going for you?
Yeah, well, I mean, there's less junkies, but on the other hand, there are a lot of yuppies. So I don't know if I've traded up or not.
Why do you think I call it what I call it? Them dried apple doll women, they'll just suck moisture out of your skin.
Listen, I'm the only person in this entire town that smokes. The entire town.
You sit outside the Starbucks and have a cigarette with your coffee and you get dirty looks. It's like, have you looked around?
Every single day, people are hopped up on every prescription pill that you could possibly imagine. But I smoke and I give their children secondhand cancer and I'm the bad guy.
Well, I'm a generous guy. I like to give them firsthand cancer. By that I mean my glowing fucking personality.
Listen, if I could hand it out in a pamphlet, I'd fit on the street corner.
All right, yeah, we were just talking when you disappeared again. We were talking about the idea of having you take over some of the shorts, and as I was saying, Mike is one of my best clients. He's one of my easiest to satisfy clients. I think that, given your intimatability.
You're still making up words.
I like that word.
that you would find Mike to be a really pleasant experience to work with, because I know you've had some terrible clients in the past. Some of them have been my clients that we share. I just, I should have known you weren't ready for that kind of stuff. And
it's interesting, right? Because there is two sides to every art relationship, right? There's the artist that's trying to accomplish something and trying to communicate with people who have no idea what they're asking for. And then there's the commissioner who wants something they think is super simple and has no idea why the artist might not be able to give them a crowd scene with 1,000 people in it. I've always found that dynamic interesting because you have to learn what the other side needs and what the other side wants. That's experience.
But come on. I heard that art, being a comic book artist, is like being a movie director, but you ain't got no budget, so you can just put whatever you want in there. It doesn't actually matter what the fuck artist has to draw. No, that's the idea that a comic, my comics have no budget. The only budget is how long it takes me to do it. And that's with Thunder Chickens, even that's with my own work, because I know what a page is going to take out of me. But the idea that's a ludicrous idea that a lot of really, really terrible people use as an excuse to just think that they can lay everything on an artist. I've been a colorist before for the NFL book, and I was the last line of defense on all the stuff they wanted to complain about, like the logos not being drawn right, so I had to Photoshop them in for a slave wages. And I know, being on the back end, you're taking it in the rear. If you don't actually stand up for yourself, if you sell yourself short, if you lie to yourself about what something is actually going to take, how much time it's going to take, it's usually going to take it 1.5 times at least what you think it's going to. So you should be charging 1.5 times. I know a few cheats that allow me to keep prices relatively low, but also to, make you know, to be able to survive off of it. And, you know, as it goes, you know, there's, you know, the newer clients, they don't get the grandfathered in prices anymore. And even me and you, we've, you know, I think since we first started working together, you know, my rates have gone up a couple times, and you keep hanging in there with me. And, you know, that's why I respect you, Mike. And yeah, like a big part of this business as an artist is knowing what your value is. And that's the hardest part, because it's so abstract to even figure out what your actual value is on a number, you know?
Yeah. And that's the hard thing too, because I think that in the indie world, you want work so much that the first instinct is to undersell. And, you know, that doesn't do anyone any favors. It doesn't do you a favor, and it doesn't do the industry a favor. If somebody can't afford you, it can't afford you, right?
And if everybody's underselling, the prices bottom out, and then everybody's doing $25 a page.
Yeah.
And all these, you know, half-wits, half-assed, half-fucking-brained, you know, word monkeys that want to pretend like they're Mr. Writer. You know, I've dealt with this very recently. I had to fire a client. No, not you. You're beautiful. Don't you ever sell yourself short like that. You are a god among men, among gods. So they, you know, they think, well, I can save money instead of actually saving up some money and investing in themselves, investing in their work, investing in something that is going to be an evergreen product, you know. And that's one thing I always try to stand by, is I try to produce evergreen products. I try to produce products that will still be marketable, you know, 5, 10, you know, 15 years down the road, that the quality will at least be sustainable enough to keep it, you know, in print in some capacity, or in, you know, circulation in some capacity.
And now for our listeners, please describe an evergreen product.
An evergreen product is a product that it is not dependent on social references, cultural references, pop cultural references that will be outdated within 5 years.
Right.
It is a book that is of a substantial enough quality that it is going to be, you can continue to keep it in print even after any hype has died down, that people will still take a look at and go, oh, this is good work. I want to check it out. I want to see what this is about. That is that is just, you know, well written, well drawn, well produced, good, you know, graphic design, good lettering, for Christ's sake. Lettering is so important. Yeah. You know, an evergreen book is a book that is, you know, of enough of a quality that you're not going to look back at it and go, you're going to look back at it and you go, hey, I could still shift this.
Still good. Yeah. You know? Cool. You've actually struck a minor rant here. Can I go on a minor rant?
Please do, because I will fucking talk till I'm blue in the face.
Because like, I don't draw, I write, but I can letter. And I've taught myself to letter, and I keep on teaching myself more. But here's the thing. Lettering is so important, especially when you're an indie. It is a character in your book, okay? Your font choice, your balloon placement, your, like, the type of balloons you use, right? Whatever. It's necessary to tell the story. And if you are not paying attention to your lettering, you are doing your book a disservice. Lettering.
Absolutely.
Yeah. That's my rant.
No, it's fine. I agree with you. Lettering is the last line of defense. You can have a book with superb quality art, and if the lettering is so bad that it's unreadable, people aren't going to read it. They're not going to read it for the art alone. They're going to look at the pretty pictures, but they're not going to know what the story is really, because they're not going to bother to actually, you know, process the glyphs, because they're so badly designed, badly positioned, badly, you know, whatever, that it, you know, that it doesn't. You have to make the words flow. Yeah. And you have to make the words flow with the eye. You have to, it is a dance between the reader, the audience, and the creator, that you have to guide their eye along in a way that makes you, it's like anything else. It's like with marketing. You have to make it as easy as possible, because people are lazy.
Yeah. And it's like storytelling. Your story has to flow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, with storytelling, you can do more abstract stuff. And even with marketing, you can do more abstract stuff. With lettering, you can do more abstract stuff. But you have to know the rules before you can break them. Steve, sorry I interrupted you. What do you want to say?
No, that's fine. There have been so many books that I've seen where the lettering absolutely pulls me out of the story because it's either you see cut and paste sound effects, and I understand cutting corners to get things done. I get that. I've done it myself. But you see the same. The thing that I always see is the whoosh with fire.
Yeah.
Say Ghost Rider or what the Human Torch, whatever it is, where you whoosh. And Comicraft is good for this, where they use that same effing thing over and over again, and it pulls me absolutely out of the story, where the lettering just is so distracting, and that's not what it should be. And it's exceptionally important as far as the storytelling goes, because you can do so much with just little things with the lettering. It's overlooked.
That's the word. Yeah, I agree.
It can be so distracting if it's done poorly, and just the littlest thing can just drag you out of the entire book. It drives me absolutely nuts.
For sure.
Yeah, I was going to say something to follow that up, but then I got distracted by the Bada Boom font. The cheapness of most people's design, since we're in that font. That was the font that I used for the original logo for a site I had up called Bohemian Zen about a decade ago. And then everybody used that font, and the more a font gets used, the cheaper it becomes. And it's like, that's probably a very broad rule for me, is don't use the Bada Boom font, because it's been destroyed. And even local businesses, I see it on car washes. You know what I mean? Like when you're seeing a font on a car wash sign, it's done. It's over.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Don't use Comic Sans, kids. Don't do it. Don't do it.
No.
I'm sure there are people out there who, for whatever reason, and God bless them, will say, but what's wrong with Comic Sans? And if I have to explain it, you're just not going to get lettering.
No, not at all.
I may sound elitist. I'm sorry, but that's the truth.
Yeah, it's absolutely the truth. I work a terrible 9-to-5 job, and they sent out this PDF today of 2 Christmas coupon things. I don't even know what they were supposed to be showing, because I scanned it and wept internally. And it was like a Christmas tree made out of letters that has the company name in it. And I won't mention that because I need to eat.
Yeah.
But like they were using things like Comic Sans, and there was no layout, and there was no rhyme or reason to anything. And then they took the company logo and just expanded it without using the proper file format. So it was just pixelated all to hell.
Oh,
Look what the cat drug in.
Hi, Mike.
Where's the cat?
We got Mike Rogers 60 RECCE. I said REECE earlier. Mike, we got Steve on tonight. You on? Can you hear us?
I'm just getting my headphones.
Cool.
Yeah.
Sorry, I completely and totally interrupted you, Steve, and I know you.
No, that's fine. Mike showed up. That's great. But the point of this rambling was that they were going to send this out to clients, and they're saying, "What does everybody think about this?" And everybody's answering, "Well, I like this one," or "I like this one," and I refused to answer because I didn't want to say, "You people are idiots. You're making us look bad. This is amateur nonsense."
See, but that's you got to learn to say the uncomfortable truths, man. Like I've learned that, especially in the past 6 months. I've become that guy in my kind of circles that I'm the guy that's going to say the damn thing that everybody's thinking but nobody's saying. And you have to say that in business arrangements. You have to say that, especially working in the industry, working in comics, working in art, working with clients. You have to say the uncomfortable damn thing, because otherwise you'll make yourself miserable not saying it. Not just because of holding it in, but also because by not saying it, they are going to think nothing's wrong, and it's going to make your job harder.
You're not wrong. Because like I looked at it, and first off, being the cocky bastard that I am, I was offended that they didn't ask the illustrator graphic designer on staff to design this stupid thing. And they got somebody's nephew who once walked past a print king to do the dumb thing, but like that, it looks bad to clients. It just looks bad.
Yeah.
And it was all in the lettering. It wasn't even necessarily a bad design, but the whole layout was just embarrassing.
And isn't that part of the whole struggle as it is? People don't value what they don't understand. So yeah, they'll get their 12-year-old nephew to design their business logo for them because they're like, well, how hard can it be? It's just some lines, because people don't see the 10 to 20 years you put into making it look like it only takes 5 minutes.
Exactly.
I just tell the client, if you think it's easy, you can do it yourself.
I've said that to people before.
Right?
Yeah. And I've had a lot of clients all of a sudden be ready to turn around and throw more money at a project because of the fact that I said, okay, well, you can do it yourself because, that wasn't part of the contract. That wasn't part of the agreement. That wasn't part of what I was hired to do. And if you want it done on extra and you think it's so easy, you're either going to pay me or you're going to do it yourself.
And I'm so glad you did that too, because you're like, hey, I have value. I'm not compromising with you. The rate is the rate. And if you want more than we discussed, it's more.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Now, don't get me wrong. There's stuff where I'll throw in a little extra work just out of clients that I've worked with a lot, clients that, I want to continue to work with. I'll do a little bit extra work if it means that, they might be inclined to come at me again. But hell, even a client, I had a client that does commissions to me all the time. He does these family commissions and commissions for his friends. And he doesn't, it's these kind of Mad Magazine style drawings combined of his friends, of his family, of couples he knows, and with references to their lives, their relationship, they're in kind of in jokes. And he originally talked me down from 300 to 250, and I did a few commissions for him at 250. And this last one, he was like, I want this one to be really good. I said, well, hey, how about this? I've done a few for you at 250, and you've gotten me some work through some of your friends, but how about we do this one at 300? And he was like, okay, well, how about I just send you 350 now? And then he ended up paying like 415 altogether. Now some of the shipping came out of that, but there's nothing. It was a $400 commission, and that was the first time I've done a commission for $400. It's just that, I let him talk me down to 250 because that's still a decent rate for what he wants. But then, once we did a few, I brought that back up and I said, you originally did talk me down. So how about we bump it up and I'll make sure that it's done nice. I always make sure it's done nice, but I'm going to do a little bit extra this time,
Extra nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Extra nice. All right, Mike 60 RECCE. How are you doing tonight?
How's it going, gentlemen? I'm not doing too good, brothers. Can you throw the screen share up for me, Bill?
Yes, I can. Give me just one moment.
This is how I'm feeling, brothers, and I'm feeling real bad.
Yeah, I can understand that.
What's going on? If you're wanting to talk about it, if you're not, we could just, I love you.
Well, for all the, of course, Bill, you're the only reason that I'm partially here. Thank you. And so tonight, brothers, I'm feeling bad because I sat in a theater in Eastern Canada where I live in like a politically correct kind of sewer pit, and where C-3PO was killed off in the sense that we know him as. And in the theater, which was packed, by the way, where I was.
Yeah.
Everybody laughed.
They laughed.
And, that's the point when I walked. That's the point I walked out. And I don't know. It's like that all over the place, and I don't know. No, listen. No, hold on, wait. I don't know if that's the reaction. That maybe a particular region is just a particular way or whatever it is, man. But all I'm saying is that when I was in that, and I didn't say anything, I didn't groan in all the shit parts. I didn't gasp at all the cringe. I didn't do that. I just sat there quietly. I kept a notepad in the dark, and I just kept scribbling in the dark. That's all I did. Because I asked the manager at first, am I allowed to take pictures of the lobby to show a lack of response here? She's like, no, we would rather you not. And I'm like, okay. And so I just took my pencil and my paper like we're supposed to, right?
Wow.
like we're supposed to.
Yeah.
And so I sat there in the dark and I wrote my notes. And I didn't want to see the movie. I already have 18 pages of the script, gentlemen. I don't need to see the fucking movie. I know it's shit. But I bought my tickets to support the people who at Lucasfilm and Modesto, Hollywood, and so when I say I'm feeling kind of shitty, that's how I'm feeling. Because when they laughed at 3PO being deprogrammed and not being 3PO anymore, that's when I wanted everybody to gasp and cry, and they didn't.
Yeah.
And that's when I knew Star Wars was dead, and that's when I knew that it was time for me to leave.
Now, for everybody who does not know, Mike did editorial duties, did some rewriting duties, did some heavy lifting like a good soldier on the Fandom Menace project that just came out, had a successful Kickstarter, and he's very passionate about it. He's very passionate about exploring the fandoms, exploring the sort of cross combinations of political interruptions and creative communities, because they know that you can get messages. But the problem is they know you can get messages through creative narrative storytelling. But the problem is when you do it so hackneyed that it doesn't move people, then it's not effective. And you talk a lot about the Gamergate issue, going into Comicsgate, going into the Fandom Menace, and how all these sort of overlap in terms of what it is. You know, and I did my own personal look into the Comicsgate movement in an article. We've both written for Bleeding Fool, and you know, I try to stay out of the politics, but you are very much you very much are on a side, and I try to stay as centrist as possible. But you know, you're one of the people in terms of you know, creative friends that I've gotten closest to over the last 6 months.
Well, you and I have always been the kinds of people, Billy, that sit back when something like a grenade goes off in the community, and we, you know, like the grenade goes off and everybody just stands back for a second, and we're like, whoa, right? And like it could be a social grenade, like between two aberrant personalities, or maybe between two dominant personalities, two like ego personalities, right? Like the grenade is, it just like poof, it just goes off, and like the Indosphere, like we're all surrounding this flame, and then like it goes off, and so we all just step back and go, whoa, for 1 second. And
are you cutting out just a little bit?
I always find it like when you say that I'm on a side, I always found myself as the centrist, as the neutral, like you say, Billy, like we are.
It's hard to it's hard to stay in the center because the goalposts are always shifting, and the goalposts are trying to shove you into the right or into the left,
even though it's a
and that center line becomes like a tightrope. Yeah, it really is tough because, and even if you do hold the line, people are going to label you as whatever they want to label you as. Chris Raygun is one of my clients on YouTube. You know, he's pretty good in terms of his subscribers, in terms of being sustainable, and he's always good paying, always happy with the work, and he gets called a liberal by the people who are far right, and he gets called far right by the people who are far left, and you know, people are going to try to label you as whatever they want to label you, you know, that is sort of just a Jungian projection of the thing that is deep down rotten in their fucking souls. You know what I mean? All right, I'm going to switch back over to my screen because I'm sitting here working on this a little bit. But yeah, and the problem is and I say it, you know, it's partially, I guess, the metaphor of the butterfly in the cocoon and the chrysalis, you know, melts down into nothing so that it can be transmuted into something beautiful. But there's also the, Alan Moore's concept of the fluid culture and the steam culture, that, we've lived in a fluid culture that has been exponentially reaching a boiling point because of the technological advancements that increase communication across the board for everybody. And we are in the boiling point of the culture of steam. And that means that some of the moisture, some of the fluid, some of the ideas, some of the creative concepts, some of the culture is going to be what dissipates into vapor first. And it looks like it's being destroyed now. But I think it's just that our culture in general, and particularly our popular culture, is it's transmuting into something that we can't even imagine what it's going to be like in 5-10 years. Once we get closer to that technological singularity, once we get closer to that, human information doubling every second and every millisecond, we don't know what that culture is going to look like. We certainly don't know what the popular culture and that's going to look like. All right, just lost Mike. I think he was cutting out just a little bit. Steve, Michael, Jeff, anybody got any hot takes on what we were just bullshitting about?
Yeah. And it's funny because I think the title, The Fandom Menace, is really what fandom has unfortunately slid into, where now you talk about what you hate first instead of talking about what you love. Yeah. And
that is absolutely on point.
Yeah, and it creates a cynicism that fandom used to be the complete antithesis to. Fandom used to be about speculation of our future, romanticism of the past, so fantasy, sci-fi, but there was always hope. There was always, for crying out loud, Star Wars, the first Star Wars was called A New Hope, right? And now, and I don't know. I can't pinpoint exactly when this started to happen, but
it was about unifying a community under a single banner of joy.
Yes, unbridled joy. Fan is short for fanatic, and it used to be the good kind of fanatic, like paint your face, go to a football game, wear a giant foam hand, like whatever. But the point is, you're happy, right? But now, fanatic it's the crazy person, it's the angry person, it's they are out to ruin my joy, and you haven't even spoken about your joy yet. You're just talking about what's ruining it.
Now, I like that take because it is a take of all takes. It doesn't take a side, and it's in the indicative problem, and that can be looked at so many different ways. Some people could use that same look and say, oh, well, it's this side's fault. Or some people would look at it and go, oh, it's the other side's fault. But I think that's the problem, is so many people are focused on what they dislike or what they hate. We lost Steve. I know he wanted to say something, but Mike, you want to chime in?
Sometimes it's all about just evaluating the product for what it is. And yeah, I'm an angry Disney person. And like I said, I want to support the people that build our dreams, because I'm going to tell you something. The Rise of Skywalker is the most tremendously visually substantive episode and event that I have ever witnessed with my eyes, even though I only walked out at an hour and 13 minutes. Okay. Mm-hmm. Listen to me. It looks gorgeous.
Yeah.
And it fucking well should, because it came out of Industrial Light and Magic, and it came out of Pinewood. And I'm telling you that I bought my ticket for those people, for the pencilers and for the fucking colorists and for the letterers. I didn't buy it for Kathleen Kennedy. I didn't buy it for Disney. I didn't buy it for any of those people. You and I both know that after this shit goes down the toilet in January, those are the first people that are going to get their tickets in March.
Yeah. Steve.
And wait, no, hold on. I'm asking.
Go ahead, please.
I'm asking simply, as a person who is tapped being a journalist, not because I wanted to be one, but because people in my community seem to demand it.
Yeah.
I thought I was in an editorialist position. I thought that the platform that I worked from was a free speech platform where it wasn't about journalism. It was about collecting things like journalists do. Yes, absolutely. But I thought it was about making an opinion based on what you found. And I thought that's what I was building. And it seems a lot of people in our community thinks that our community newspapers have to do with some kind of standard journalistic line. Let's get one thing straight right now. Nobody in this world maintains a journalistic standard. Nobody. And so the only thing that should be listened to is people.
Yeah.
And voices.
Yeah, whenever I did that
And
article
those
on,
things are people, you know. And so those things should be expressed. Those things should be shared. And that's what a community spirit is all about. And yeah, I'm an angry Star Wars fan. You're fucking right, I am. And I want to know whether you guys in the dark. I scribbled down a couple of notes, and I would screen share them right now, but they really look like patte de mouche, like we say in French. And so take a fly. You take a fly and you let them scribble around in your ink pad, and then you take them off the ink pad and you just let him dance around in your paper for a little bit because he can't fly. So he just like scribbles his dirty feet all over your page, and it's called patte de mouche, the feet of the fly, and it just scribbles all over your page. Okay.
Yeah, when you said that
so,
nobody keeps a journalistic ethic, like that's, I mean, whenever I did approach that one article, like I made sure I let people know, like, I'm not removing myself from this story. You know, I can't look at this objectively. All I can do is just report things as I see it.
I made a meme the other day trying to show the transgression and the opposition concerning primary historical documents and secondary historical documents, and why people don't understand that secondaries are opinions and reflections of and after the scene. Nobody in a secondary was involved in the event.
Yeah.
I don't care. I don't care how biased. I don't care how manipulated the primary source was. I have an intelligent brain. I can look at their situation as long as they're giving me a realistic reflection of the situation. I can decide for myself what the fuck happened. Thank you very much. You know, and trying to explain to young people that don't understand what critical thinking is, that's how history is distorted. You dumb people down to not be able to think critically. You take that faculty away from them, and that's it.
I agree.
And that's what's happening. And that's what's happening, because normal human beings are good fucking people. I refuse to believe with the reductionist. I refuse to believe. That's a part of atheism that I refuse to believe. Those reductionists, no, I believe that human beings are inherently good. And I believe that human beings inherently want family, and they want togetherness, and they want warmth and compassion. That's what I believe human beings truly want.
And that
the only difference is human beings have to be given a choice, and that they have to be given information in order to make choices. And as long as they're not lied to, and as long as they're given choices, I believe no matter how ignorant or how educated human beings are, if you give them information, they will make the right choices, because only certain things matter to human beings, and we always will have those things in common.
Okay, Michael McAdam, you wanted to chime in? I heard you.
Oh, yeah. I was just going to say what you're describing right there. That is what fandom was. You know, we looked at things. You know, our choices were, well, of course we're good. You know, of course the people that we worship in terms of our heroes, our protagonists and whatnot are, you know, even if they have rough edges, they are intrinsically good people, or at least they used to be. Nowadays we explore more of the opposite side, you know, like what about gray morality? What about an anti-morality? And those are good stories, you know, but it used to be that we strove for the goodness. We strove for the hero. We strove for the smiling Shazam and the smiling Superman, you know, like we wanted that. And now
that's because the evilness was the aberration, not the goodness.
Right.
Nowadays it's switched. The polarity has been inverted. Remember in Top Gun? Yeah, he did all that. Maverick did that. He was. Did we tell you he was inverted? He's fucking inverted, dude. Like, so it's like even worse than that, right?
We finally got Steve back on. I know he was trying to chime in a little bit before he disappeared twice, did a few magic tricks, did a few spinning in circles and a cute little sexy dance. And he disappeared again, you goddamn ambassador. I'm just trying to get you in. Jeff.
It's probably all my fault.
No, it's not. You're good. Oh, wait, there he is.
I still have no internet here that I paid for. I swear. I have the modem here now.
All right, Steve, did you hear me trying to bring you in?
Yeah.
Okay, let's hear what you want to chime in on this whole discussion, or at least as much as you've heard of it, because you've been going in and out like a ghost on us. What do you think of toxic
Hang
fandom?
on.
What do you think of Star Wars? What do you think of people wanting to focus on what they hate? What do you think of just anything in terms of the way you see things in popular culture right now as it's represented, mostly on social media? Because whenever you get people in real life, people of many different, I know we're all fucking white guys in the room, but if you want to focus on that, you can focus on whatever the fuck you want. But there's different kinds of fucking people in here having a talk of different ages, of different experiences, and to diminish all those experiences to one color is absurdism if at its extreme in a who's the philosopher, Steve, that we both love? Camus, in a Camusian sense. So Steve, hot takes.
Yeah. I missed a lot of that just because my internet sucks out loud this yuppie town, and I think it just crashed.
Oh no!
Oh no! He literally announced his own outage. Steve, are you still there?
Anything? It's just beeping. Hang on.
All right, everybody stop talking and give him. Everybody stop talking
God,
and give him the
I hate
bandwidth.
this town.
I can hear you. Now you're connected twice. Let's get 2 Steves.
1 Steve, 2 Steve, red Steve, blue Steve.
Oh my.
Red later reporting in.
All right, Jeff, what do you think of this conversation so far? What's your hot take?
Well, way back in 1976, when Star Wars first came out, we were on vacation down in Cape Cod. This is going to be very boring. I'm not a real big Star Wars fan, number one. And we went into a movie theater that the air conditioner had actually broke down as the movie started. And it was like outside, it was like 90 degrees. And eventually the air came in while we're watching the movie back then down in, I think it was Yarmouth or something, the movie theater on Route 28 on Cape Cod. And, you have the heat and no air conditioning. You're trying to stay awake to watch the movie because you're sweating to death. And I think it was at that point that George Lucas's dream of having, something that maybe I'm flashing back to, it came from outer space, the movies of the 50s and stuff. And when he had that car wreck back in the 60s and whatever car he was driving and rolled over, I think it kind of, maybe it loosened a few bolts in his head, but I don't want to insult the guy, but it was everything that's been discussed here tonight and people's feelings and everything. I think it was eventually, I got this weird feeling it all evolved from something that he had a grand design for. And, when I was watching the movie back then in 76, that was actually the first things I thought about, the old, crackerjack kind of 50s monster movies, and it came from outer space and all that. And aliens, back then, and everything was, definitely, all puppeteers and stop motion and everything. And, you look forward and how much has changed. I think I just take everything in general. And maybe that's why I'm kind of I'm liberal, but I'm still too damn conservative because I draw this medieval crap. So I'm trying to make a point on. And,
well, I mean,
Can I break in here for a second, Jeff? No, hold on.
A downer about it, but you want to say something, Mike? Or?
No, but can I
Jack,
break in for just 1 second, Jeffrey? Because just so everybody that's listening, Jeffrey has given me an awful lot of his personal work, and that takes a awful amount of courage, especially for someone who really doesn't know our scene and doesn't know the industry and doesn't. Like that's a bold thing, and it seems to me that what is misunderstood a lot, and here's a way that I can really make it clear. With the wonderful stuff that I remember, what I told you. What's my job as your editor, Jeffrey? What's my first job is to do what for you? Is to protect you, right?
Yep.
And so when I go to a movie like what I saw tonight, and I go in and I see when somebody purchased a property off of somebody and they took that legacy and they took that vision and they took that beauty and that wonder and that thing that took us into that story and dropped us into that thing, and then they took that thing and they broke it and they defiled it and they destroyed it. As an editor, what do you think that I would feel for somebody to do that to what you gave me? No, seriously, let's ask ourselves for a second here. My job is to, en français, on va dire améliorer. It is my job to ameliorate your products, okay? I have to make them better than they are somehow. Somehow, I have to transform them somehow. That chrysalis that Bill was talking about earlier, right? And so when someone takes that out of our hands, out of my hands and out of your hands, and they turn that into something brutal, and they turn that into a flail, and they turn that into a vehicle, how am I supposed to feel about that, man?
Mm-hmm.
And so if you want to know how we feel about Star Wars and you want to see that stormtrooper on his fucking knees, that's how I feel.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody was supposed to protect something. I know that the symbol for Disney is supposed to be a castle, and I know you and I have seen it for 100 years. 100 years. And all I'm asking, can we have some guards on the walls of that fucking castle, please? That's all I'm asking.
All right, Steve, we have been struggling to get you stable in your connection. So
I think I'm fairly stable now.
I want to hear I want to hear a take so hot it burns your mouth. What do you think of just in general Star Wars fandom? Just what do you see when you look around? That's all you got to answer.
Man, nobody wants to hear this.
No, we don't. All right, get out of here.
Yeah, no. Listen,
Do it, brother. Do it.
Yeah,
Do it, brother.
Listen, I'll be honest, and nobody's gonna want to hear this, but I don't care.
Good point. I like it.
No, that's what I wanted to hear from.
The most valid and intelligent point made in the last 36 hours. I will guarantee you that.
I have Star Wars shit all over my apartment. I've seen all of the movies in the theater. I own the West End Games, D6 Star Wars books that most of the extended universe came from. I've played that game since I was 14 years old. Most of it came from. And I look at the people freaking out now, and I don't care. It's an intellectual property. I don't care what happens. Lucas took the stuff that was written before, and you look at the prequels, and they were terrible. They were terrible. They absolutely shit on everything. I don't care what happens to it. It's already been shit on. It's already been shit on. I had this argument with a chick earlier tonight, and she's freaking out about everything. And I said, like, it just doesn't matter to me anymore. I just don't care.
So
Steve, I love your opinion. I love your opinion, and we need
I just
your
can't.
opinion. No, we need your opinion, and it's absolutely magnificent. But I need you to understand, hey, fucker, you know you're surrounded by a bunch of creatives with intellectual properties, right? Come on, man. Of course we care. I mean, you don't care for the drama.
I get it.
You don't care for the
if
drama.
If it was my shit, I would care. But
I'm not talking about
I mean,
somebody. There's people trying to build dreams, and when we have dreams for 50 years, and
that's interesting what he just said, though, right?
Oh no, it absolutely is. Absolutely.
Yeah, like because we care about our intellectual property.
Yeah, I'm cutting out again. I can't even hear this.
As fans, we also care to the point where it's actually become destructive now. We care about someone else's intellectual property to the point where we actually feel ownership of it, erroneously, because it's not ours, but it sort of became ours, right? And so Mike's experience, tonight.
What if it should belong to the creators and the people who consume it? What if it should belong to them and them only?
Right.
Right.
What if the problem is that it is who love it? those are the people that are, what if those are the people that are the problem? What if this new model that we build in our industry, where we have a connection between our customers and our artists, what if we just do our thing ourselves and fuck that industry and that superstructure? They all say, oh, you need a superstructure, you need a hierarchy. No, you don't. No, you don't. All you need is a relationship.
Basis of indie, right? Is because we don't want to play that corporate game. We want to make our stuff. Yes?
Absolutely. 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 Oh, I think I lost sound.
Intellectual property becomes too big for the creator, and it just goes on its own tangent.
Oh, see, now that's me,
right?
I think I fucking dropped out again. Oh, he's back, and I wanted to tell him, no, you dropped the fucking mic before you did, because that was what I expected Steve to be, is that guy who is the absolute pragmatist. Steve, I was going to say, you texted me, I fucking dropped out again, and I was going to say, no, you dropped the fucking mic is what you dropped. Because that's what I love about Steve, and that's why he's one of my favorite miserable bastards, is because he looks at things from the most absolute pragmatic way possible, especially because like Steve is very much like, it doesn't affect my life really all that greatly, so why are you all acting like a bunch of fucking monkeys about it? I think he's
an intelligent person. You have to have a pragmatic individual at your table. You have to.
Yeah, and I mean that's why I wanted to kind of get these streams together with you know, and even try to, like, you know, see if maybe like each of us can reach out a little bit. I know Jeff, you had a guy that you recommended. I don't really know him that well, but to try to reach out and get other voices in as well as just like more than just the five of us, because I want to get as many voices, and I want to have conversations. I really do. Yeah. And the problem is the bigger things get, the less you can have conversations. And we're starting pretty small right now. I'm just wanting to get people together. I'm just wanting to chat with my buddies. And if other people enjoy it, then all the better. But, regardless of what comes out of it, I just want to keep having open discussions. I'm a huge fan of Joe Rogan's podcast, because he will get people on that he doesn't necessarily agree with, and they have a discussion, and he asks the tough questions. He asks the questions. He plays the devil's advocate, and I want to get. I would love to have a stream and have Renfamous on it. I would love to have a stream and have who's that one gal? I don't want to. Starts with an M. I don't know, but I would love to have people that I don't necessarily aren't on my side, because I'm not interested in taking a side. I don't want people just because they agree with me. I want to bounce ideas around as human beings, Have
a platform.
That's what conversation is.
Platform of ideas.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Steve's internet is acting up too much, but he somehow in his little time as he was able to spit some fire, he spit venom in terms of just taking that aspect on it. What's everybody? I mean, what is on our minds tonight, other than Star Wars, other than fandom, other than our frustrations or our apathy towards it? What else is all going on in people's lives and in their creativity?
I had something cool happen to me. I got invited to be on a podcast in January for a fandom that I have loved since I was 14, which I'm not going to mention right now because I don't want to jinx it. I want to wait till it's in the can and recorded and everything first. But it overwhelmed me how important that was to me. Once I had been invited and whatnot, I'm like, you want me? But this has been mind-blowingly amazing to me since I was 14. How am I even worthy of being on this thing? And it just hit me so much that even though I'm an adult now, that fanaticism, that fandom has never diminished for me inside. So being asked to be a part of it, in a quote-unquote official capacity was like, wow, really? Like, oh my God, like I'm just plotzing here, and it made me feel good all day today, because it meant that the purity of what I love has still not diminished.
Okay. I can see that. Jeff, what's going on with you? I know you said that you got parts of book 2 over to Mike. I know that you said he's digging through book 1.
Mm-hmm.
What's going on with you and your life and your creativity? What's on your mind other than what we've been talking about so far?
Well, I've had this ever since I was challenged to write a story by Dungeon Master. This is back in '99. I just want to try to keep busy with it, even though my day job consists of mechanical inspection and GDT and all the other much boring stuff the last 20 years. I still want to try to improve on my art. And I did take a summer course a few years back at a local art school, Montserrat in Beverly. And it was for illustration, but she was actually, believe it or not, she was an art director, the professor. And she'd have us do different formats, use charcoal, use pencil, use pen alone. And she was a very strict professor, but to try to help the students improve. It was a quick summer, 6-week or 8-week art course, I think it was, and very quick. But I don't know what makes me drive to do the Candlejack thing. It's just something. It reflects, I guess, in the people. Like what's happening with Star Wars, you get all kinds of opinions and everything too, from something Lucas started. After. It came to his mind after having the car wreck and everything, and it just, popped in his head that, with all these hokey special effects of the things of the 50s, is why can't he do something more realistic?
Well, I think that speaks to something that maybe a lot of people have a hard time accepting, is that sometimes you don't really know the secrets behind your own creativity. And that sometimes you have a plan and you have a map and you have an outline and you have all these pieces, and part of the creative process is literally just putting it together. And then you also have to put it out there in a way that other people are going to interpret it in ways that maybe you can look into it at first. And some people have a hard time accepting that because there's auteur theory, which, there's some writers or some creators or some artists that are like that. They're very, have an auteur sort of mind where they want a singular vision. But there's also, as a part of the creative process, I mean, we all can think of a few probably movies or books that over time their interpretation changed with the change of the culture.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree with that because, Candlejack just started out just like Lucas as an idea. I didn't roll over in a car or anything, but it started out from a challenge and an idea that I never really played D&D, a D&D game until he challenged me at that time to write. You have to write a story for each character you want to go into the game. And he wanted to take that character and he didn't, I just didn't want to give it to him. And from that point on, I liked the character so much, I developed a story around it. So,
all right, Steve.
But go ahead.
Sorry. I was going to say Steve has gotten to chime in so little, and I know you seem like you had the camera off, maybe to save stream. If I know.
Yeah, I'm having internet issues.
But what I've been asking everybody, what's on your mind other than the BS we've been talking about with fandom, with Star Wars, with all that? What's on your mind? What's on your plate creatively? Where are you at? Especially we're all moving into 2020. I know you've talked to me about your frustrations with work and how you want to kind of start moving back into art. What's swimming around that fishbowl head of yours?
I gotta figure something out artistically, or I'm not gonna make it. This whole regular people lifestyle that I've been trying to lead, I'd sooner cut my fucking dick off.
Hey, I can't draw for SHIT, but I still got the drive to do it. I do need some practice.
Steve is an amazing artist. I tell him.
You want to work for me?
And I tell him.
I can't pay
and actually, we talked about that a little bit. We talked about the possibility of, depending on the way things go, that I have clients open. I have certain commitments to Jeff, but we talked about the possibility of maybe after book 1 having a different artist on for book 2. And I was like, what? I would love to see Steve's interpretations of these things in terms of like the comic format, because I really, I've studied your work, Steve, and I tell you this all the time, and I tell everybody who will listen, I've studied Steve's work. Steve's work helped me with my cartooning. It helped me with my shape dynamics, having very, very solid, bold use of shape. I've studied your work and got better because of it, and it frustrates me to no fucking end how you can't see how fucking good you are.
Well, listen, there are some artists who know what they are and can work from that. And there are those of us who need a copious amount of booze and drugs to accomplish anything.
Lots of them. Go ahead.
Oh, Lordy. All right, Mike. I wanted to give Steve a little chance to chime in. You still there with us, Mike Rogers?
Uh-oh.
Or no, he's got his mic muted, so he might have stepped away for a second. No, whenever Mike comes back, whenever he gets back online, I'll have him chime in and see. But I guess to extend from that question, I know what 2020 is going to bring for me. It's still, but I tell you what, the end of 2019 is still bringing surprises. I had a delicious surprise last night. That's all I'm going to say. But
Hey, I got 40 characters to draw. Would you like to draw a book too?
But what's
40, count them. 40.
What's everybody got in terms of on their mind, on their plate, or on the horizon in 2020 that maybe you haven't talked about yet? Let's start with you, Michael McAdam, 2 Gargs.
Well, I just there's on Facebook there's an indie group and they're having indie comics awards, and of course I've never heard of these awards, never heard of the group, so I scrambled like a mad fiend to get into the group today to be like, I nominate me, thanks very much.
Yeah, why not?
Because the thing I'm worst at is breaking out of that bubble of promotion. Yeah. I see Kickstarters with 108 backers, 220 backers, and I'm like, do I even know 220 people? But my Facebook 2 Gargoyles Comics has 750 followers, and I'm like, okay, where are you guys when I'm Kickstartering? What am I doing wrong, or what am I not doing? So my 2020 is bigger. That's my whole thing, bigger and more. I want to reach more people. I want to be more. I guess the word would be legitimate, even though I feel legitimate enough as it is, but I want to be more legitimate. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, I definitely feel you.
Diversification.
And I want, I think we're all looking to get bigger in 2020, especially with years with them big round numbers like that. You think of one of my favorite Led Zeppelin songs is 10 Years Gone, and my dad died last year, as we've talked about. And he used to always tell me that the song Pink Floyd's Time, the lyric, and then one day you find 10 years have got behind you, no one told you when to run, you missed the starting gun. And and big failure with the Thunder Chickens 10 years ago. Exactly 10 years ago at this point. Big public failure because I was a fuck up. Because of, just between life and my own, being, intimidable, creatively speaking, I had that sort of self-destructive, that sort of self, just that edge of collapsing in on myself because I was afraid of it actually working, of it actually succeeding to a certain extent, which is something that everybody talks about, the fear of failure, but so few people talk about the fear of success. Because then what does that say about how come I haven't been able to figure it out up till now? If it was as easy, not to say it's been easy the past 6 months, but I've been sustaining. I've been working consistently. There's been struggles, there's been broke days, there's been days where I just get flooded with work and with pays and finding that balance across time for me has been legitimizing for me in my own self that I can do this and I can keep it going.
Well, you've spent those 10 years becoming you were Bill Blankenship light before, and now you're Bill Blankenship now. Yeah. This is 2020, you're Bill Blankenship, and whatever you were before wasn't quite who you are now. So you spent all this time to be who you are and where you're at right now so that you can launch from here.
Yeah. And that's also part of it. To quote, I always quote Robert Anton Wilson, and I think Bucky Fuller said, "The universe is non-simultaneously apprehended," and the more you're here, the more you realize, like you watch things unfold. A lot of shit that maybe I would argue with my dad about before now kind of makes a lot more sense to me. You know what I mean? And I think we're all trying to get bigger in 2020 for a lot of those reasons. Jeff, I know with you, we've talked extensively, and you've invested extensively into your book and making it a reality, making it something that you can, that you can hold in your hands. I've got a tutor. I tutor a student that he. I asked him what he wants to do. He said, "I just want a book that I made that I can hold in my hands." And I always tell him, well, whenever you get to that point, you're not going to be happy and you're going to want something more. So realize that it doesn't end there, But with you, where do you see 2020 going with you, and what's on the horizon for you?
Well, like I said, to get with Mike's help, Mike Rogers' help, to get this book off the ground, editing. Get at least what he was telling me he could do. He's actually broken book 1 into 3 different volumes, which is fantastic. 428 pages for one of them. I'm not going to relate all the details, but just for one paperback, it's 428 pages.
Yeah.
So that tells you a lot about a 96 page book 1 PDF file. So
yeah,
with several characters. But getting back to the diversification thing, I don't think Bill should be the only artist limited. I think it's a great idea to get different artists, different takes, different approaches to all the characters, because there is at least 40 involved. And, I don't want to burn anybody out, but Steve, that'd be a great thing for book 2, to continue on. I think that'd be fantastic to see. And I think the public too would like to see diversification, in that respect too, for the book itself. I'm not really a big Star Wars fan, but it kind of there's a little fantasy in there and a little bit of ray guns here and there, but not really some beams floating around of magic or whatever. But just to get the book off the ground, 20 years of sitting down, coming home from work and sitting down and mom yelling, "Supper's ready." I'm sorry, I'm not hungry tonight. I got to finish this. Work on another few pages or whatever. At the computer,
I was in the
which
kitchen
was
making
my living room
coffee.
at that time, an old Packard Bell, by the way. But
I was in the kitchen making a coffee, Jeffrey.
Something drove me to do it. I think it was the challenge by the Dungeon Master. It just kept going and going and build up one character and spring out another. Another would come out of the mist, out of the mind. And it's just a flurry of characters. And the bad thing, I think I was telling Mike, I sent a lot of my work to Wild Sound in Toronto, and all they did was, "Yeah, we think your book's good and everything, but here's a critique," and they'd write a whole bunch of, lambasting on spelling and correction and prepositions, and this line should be over here, not in chapter 7, And I spent all that money, 4 times, about $170 a pop, just so they can, ridicule it. And, "Oh, he's got a great idea though on page 7.
Well, Stephen Fry has a great little typography video on language where he talks about how this one writer would send it off to his editor, and he says, "I'll leave the theirs and the its and the, and all that up to you." Mike, we just got you back. You said you were in the kitchen. Well, I've been asking everybody, and I'll ask you, I'll double up the question for you because I wanted to give Steve a chance to chime in earlier, and your mic was still muted. One is, what's on your mind other than the Star Wars stuff, other than what we're talking about?
Nothing except for Jeffrey's work.
Yeah, okay.
Jeffrey's
work. I love flexibility.
And so Jeff,
I think
so I just
sat.
Yeah. And
absolutely.
so I just sat and listened to Jeffrey speak about him working on his volume 2 while I was trying to make coffee and everything else, and see, I'm the editor, so I'm in the middle of tearing the guts out of everything Jeffrey's just done. And Jeffrey doesn't know it yet, but that's what
I don't.
And so
what's on your plate? What's on your
so
horizon?
I want to share. But I want to share with all of you. You asked me a question.
Yeah.
Where am I?
Yeah.
And I will tell you, my friend Billy.
Yes.
I'm at this point in the book, and I'm going to tell you the impact that trying to edit and co-author this book of Jeffrey's, which is a pretty particular work, actually. I'm going to show you and try to my very best.
All right.
To give you the spirit and the feeling of exactly where I am, since we're in this artistic space, and that's what it's there for, you see?
Yeah.
And so this paragraph begins, his grogginess during his speech, said Feterox, occasionally stammering his words between gulps of ale. When I was just a wee lad, I journeyed as a young skiff aboard Algoth's ships. We plied the trade routes to outer islands. And when we used to visit those islands of Artifur, dropping off picking supplies Ides used to sneak aways, we ventured off to the Temple of Chalins. And that's where I am in the fucking story right now. And Jeffrey knows what I mean, but nobody else does.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I do, because I've read that part. I have gotten to. I've read a little bit beyond that point, but I know where you're talking about in the book. So and I like that you put some stank on it with the voiceover work as well there, with the character, because I think that really gets across the kind of feel that I got from his book so far. You know what I mean? Obviously, you're going a lot more in depth than I am. You know, I'm working on the basic design stuff right now. I'm working on trying to get a unified design aesthetic for it, whereas you're really going in and pulling apart the words and seeing what meats on the bones.
Jeffrey, for Jeffrey's story, Billy, for us as concept artists right here at this point in our blender where we are right now, that's what we're talking about, is in our blender.
Yeah.
For me as the editor and
It's a
you as
game
concept
changer.
artist,
It really is.
here's what we need to understand. Forget about all the minutiae. Quiet over there, artist. Quiet. The only thing you need to understand for concept and for tone, Billy, I think so far, from what I'm gathering, I'm just talking about book one here. I'm not talking about anything else. It's old. It's very, very old. Okay.
Yeah.
It's old.
Yeah. Book two is going to be the continuation. It kind of ends kind of bluntly at book one, but I have the four heroes trapped in a cage, and they get out of it, and it's a little bit of magic and spell work, but I have some crib notes for book two. I've only got 20 pages done, but on a PDF file, but I'm really hoping to add the remaining characters and that are part of the book and such. It seemed to evolve, and I just seem more interested every time I sit down with the laptop and I look at my notes, and I'm just going back and forth. It's kind of a unusual kind of feel, and I feel myself as part of the story too. You know, I'm looking in the back of my mind's eye, seeing the characters in motion and such, and I try to draw them on paper. So I know my pencil art. I do mechanical pencil. I like. In particular, I don't like the plastic ones. I like the old metal ones that Zebra used to have. Pilot, the manufacturer, but they don't make them anymore. I've only got 6 left.
I'm not a penciler, Jeffrey, but I only want to ask you because there's a couple here that. Have you ever tried a solid graphite pencil? It's like
solid graphite.
You can
have that. Yes.
Because if you have those, just leave the wrappers on them and just sharpen the tips. And for God's sake, just use those. There's so many different ones now.
I'll be
so many
going all over the sidewalks all over town with them.
Well, fucking right. Like, just draw mustaches on people's faces all over the place and make them smile, Jeffrey. Make them smile.
A lot of these characters.
Just gonna jump in right here. I've got a jam.
Go ahead.
I'm like hogging the living room, and my kids are desperate to use the TV. So thanks very much for a great evening.
Excellent.
And I'll see you next time.
All right, man. Yeah, excellent. Thank you for coming on. Again, 2 Gargs on Instagram, 2 Gargs on Twitter, 2 Gargoyles Comics. Some of the best comic work you see in the indie community, and one of my favorite clients to work with, a lovely human being, a god among men, among gods. Michael McAdam, thank you again for joining us. You have a great night.
You guys. Have a great night.
All right. Steve.
What?
I haven't got to hear from you yet in terms of what is on your horizon for 2020? I know you said you want to start moving into going back to art. You know, like I said, my whole shit is going to change in 2020, but I do have clients that I think that you'd work well with. Clients like Jeff, like Mike. You know, I'm going to be working with like Michael. I'm going to be working with Mike in terms of some publishing stuff, in terms of some of my own writing. Hopefully by the end of the year, but you know, kind of leading with Thunder Chickens and leading with the work that I'm doing on Jeff's book. What do you want creatively beyond just sustainability, beyond just, because I know you have a book called was it Roustabout?
I don't know. Yeah, of course the internet's going to cut out again.
No, I can hear you.
You can hear.
Oh, can you? Oh,
Yeah.
Well, then I may just be an asshole. I don't know. Yeah.
Why not both?
I don't know. I've got, yeah, probably. That's probably the truth of it. I don't know. I have 150,000 ideas, and I don't know what I'm doing with them yet. But
Okay.
I'm gonna work on it this year.
I'm reminded
Because
of.
I have to.
I think it's maybe it was for some reason I'm thinking of Sylvia Plath, but I might be wrong. The allegory about the fig tree, the lady sits down at the fig tree and looks at all the figs and can't decide which fig to choose to eat, and as she waits, the figs start to rot and fall off of the tree. And it's just the idea that, you know, sometimes you have to shit or get off the pot, otherwise, you know, you lose all your figs. And I know you don't give a fig, but you know, I would love to see you expand creatively. I would love to see people appreciate your work. I hope that you outshine my ass, motherfucker, and I'm loud. All right.
There you go. That's a challenge.
That's my problem. I got too much Ditko in me.
Yeah, well, you need a little bit more Kirby, motherfucker.
You're not wrong.
Well, you know, maybe hopefully I can show you how to tap into the source, and hopefully we can get you, you know, getting some of that Kirby ethos in terms of realizing your potential creativity, realizing the divinity of your creativity. And I know that's not you're not crazy about as much about the divine aspects, but you know, I think that you're open for a little bit of something. I think you're open for a little bit of something, just to see some movement on it, and I can only hope that I can help you by like getting you in front of people and getting you on streams like this. You know, even if it's just to get you being social, you fucking antisocial fucking fuck.
Some people are terrible.
Oh my. Okay, guys. I think that's about where we're at for the night.
Yeah, that's about it.
I love what everybody's chimed in on things. I love hearing what you guys are doing. Jeffrey Anthony Campos, where can you be found on social media?
Well, I got that big Windows 95 source code website, candlejack.com. Yeah, look at the Windows 95. Oh, yeah, it's legit. I still use the hack software, too. And twitter.com/psychic pencil. Those two things.
All righty. Mike Rogers, you still on there? Let me see.
I'm here. No, I'm here. I'm just.
Where can people find you on social media and online?
You can find me at 60RECCE 60Recce. It's Mike. When you DM me, I can help you with your projects, or we can retweet some stuff for some exposure. If you guys want to have a platform to make an interview or something, please let me know. Support your Indosphere creators. Stop engaging trolls in the bullshit. And for God's sake, create.
I agree with all those statements. Steve, where can people find you on social media? Where can they find you online?
They can find me on Twitter at Art Discipline if they want to see weird porn crap. Beyond that, I'm not really all that social online because it's terrible.
Well, I'll tell you what, if you want to, it's artistic discipline on Twitter, isn't it?
No, it's I had to look it up because I couldn't remember.
Really?
Yeah.
I've been saying I could have swore that I just looked it up the other day and saw it as art. Okay.
Well,
Art
the title is, but it's at Art Discipline because
at
of
Art Discipline. And that is that also your brand on Instagram?
yeah, I think so.
Okay.
I don't know. I'm really bad at business. The work speaks for itself.
Well, I know that I know that I tweeted out the correct the correct account on Twitter today whenever I announced the stream. And yeah, like even your the smutty, dirty girl stuff you've been doing lately is absolutely delightful. And you're one of your
I want them for book 2.
You'll always be one of my favorite artists.
I want them for book 2. You're on.
I will fight tooth and nail to convince you how damn good you are and convince the rest of the world how damn good you are. As always, I'm Bad Ankle Bill on everything. Bad Ankle Bill on Twitter. Bad Ankle Bill on Instagram. BadAnkleBill.com. Even a SoundCloud, which is a little fun little music project that I do. Bad Ankle Bill. So you can find me under that brand everywhere. And I hope you like the pretty pictures. I'm hoping that 2020 becomes. I'm hoping that it helps all of us expand on what we want to do creatively, what we want to do in our business, what we want to do in comics, what we want to do in writing, what we want to do in our specific fields, and also hopefully be able to work together to create some interesting stuff. Because we can't do all these things alone. Sometimes we need other people. I know the places I need Mike, Rogers down there, 60 Ricci, 60 Christina Ricci.
You're just saying words. These aren't even words.
Comic books got big boobies. We're okay.
I need Mike for certain things in terms of my writing that I want to do to expand beyond just the pretty pictures. I need Jeff because I need somebody that wants to see me expand on what he's doing. I need Steve because I need to keep seeing what you're doing in order to do what I'm doing. I tell that to everybody. I need to see you doing your damn thing to do mine.
Yeah, I'm doing it too. I'm still drawing when I can. I love flexibility, and people come on in, Steve. You're very welcome. We can talk sometime. And I like thinking outside the box. That's the only way to go nowadays. It really is.
All right,
sure.
Everybody, you guys all have a great night. Much love.
You too.
And much to you.
Thanks, Bill.
Fundo early evening.
Take care, Steve.
I'll see you guys next time.
Always. All right. Let's do a little post show and broadcast.